If I had turned into my driveway that night, I wouldn't be here talking to you. I was less than 10 seconds away from home. Same road, same turn I'd made for over 40 years. My headlights were already on the mailbox. I slowed down, hand on the wheel, ready to turn in. Then I stopped. I don't usually stop in the middle of my own road. There's no reason to. Nothing ever happens out there. No traffic, no noise, no surprises. That's kind of the point. But that night, I just sat there with the engine running, staring at my own driveway like it belonged to someone else. And all I could hear in my head was one sentence: "Don't go home tonight." It didn't come from my son. It didn't come from the radio. It came from a woman I had never seen before in my life. A few hours earlier, I was sitting in my usual booth at a small café off Route 19. Same place I go every Thursday, same coffee, same corner table where no one bothers you. Daniel and Rachel were sitting across from me. My son looked tired. Not the kind of tired you fix with sleep. The kind you avoid talking about. Rachel was doing most of the talking like she usually does now. She had her phone on the table face down, but she kept touching it like she was waiting for something. "We've been thinking," she said, stirring her tea without actually drinking it. "It might be time to start looking at options for the property." There it was. Again. They'd been bringing it up more often. Always gently, always reasonable. "Taxes are going up," Daniel added, not looking at me. "Maintenance too. It's a lot for one person." I took a sip of my coffee. It had gone cold, but I drank it anyway. "I've managed it this long," I said. Rachel smiled. "Not warm. Polite. Practiced." "That's exactly why we're worried," she said. Of course they were. Concern is a very useful word when you want control without sounding like you want control. They stood up together to go pay. Rachel picked up both cups like she was in a hurry to get somewhere else. Daniel followed her without saying anything, which wasn't new either. I stayed at the table, folding my napkin, reaching for my bag. That's when someone stepped up beside me. No excuse me, no hesitation. I looked up, and she was already placing a thin envelope on the table in front of me. "Margaret Whitaker," she said. Not a question. I felt my stomach drop before I even answered. Yes. She didn't sit down, didn't smile, just leaned in slightly and said very quietly, "Don't go home tonight." That was it. No explanation, no build-up, just that. I opened my mouth to ask what she meant, but she had already turned away. By the time I pushed my chair back, she was at the door. 2 seconds later, she was gone. Not walking, gone. Daniel and Rachel came back right after. "Everything okay?" Daniel asked. "Fine," I said a little too quickly. I slid the envelope into my bag before either of them looked down. On the drive home, Rachel talked about real estate values. Daniel agreed with everything she said. I nodded when I was supposed to. Said we'll see at the right moments. Normal conversation. Nothing unusual. Except I couldn't stop thinking about that envelope sitting in my bag. And that sentence, "Don't go home tonight." When we reached my road, Daniel slowed down like he always does. "You want us to walk you in?" he asked. "I'm fine," I said. They waited until I got out, then drove off. I stood there for a second, listening to the sound of their car fade into nothing. Then I got back in my own car and drove the last stretch alone. When I reached the turn into my driveway, I slowed down. The headlights hit the gravel path. The house sat in the distance exactly where it had always been. Everything looked normal, and somehow that made it worse. I kept my foot on the brake, staring straight ahead, realizing I hadn't taken my hands off the wheel. I should have just turned in. That's what I've done every night for decades. Instead, I exhaled, tightened my grip slightly, and drove right past my own home. I kept driving for another 5 miles before I even realized I hadn't picked a destination. There aren't many options out there at night. A gas station that closes early, a diner that pretends it's open but isn't, and one motel off the highway that looks like it's been waiting for a renovation since 1998. I pulled into that. The neon vacancy sign was flickering like it wasn't fully committed. I parked under a light that made my car look worse than it is and sat there for a second, engine still running. This was the part where I could still change my mind. Turn around, go home, lock the door, pretend none of this happened. Instead, I turned the engine off. The front desk was behind a thick glass window. A man in his 60s slid the little drawer open without standing up. One night, he asked. One night I said, no questions. No small talk. Cash or card. Key across the counter. That was it. Room 12. The door stuck a little when I pushed it open. The air smelled like cleaning spray trying to cover something older. The bedspread was too patterned to be clean, which I appreciated. It set expectations. I locked the door. Then I locked it again, like that would do something extra. For a while I didn't move. The envelope was still in my bag, sitting there like it had weight to it. Not heavy, just present. I set my bag on the small table and stared at it. This was the moment where normal people decide they're overreacting. I'm not sure when I stopped being normal. I opened it. Inside was a small metal key and a folded piece of paper. No letter, no explanation, just one line written neatly. Check your email. Scheduled delivery. I looked at it for a second, then reached for my phone. I don't get many emails at night. Bills, maybe. Promotions I don't read. Nothing urgent. But there it was. A new message. Time-stamped a few minutes earlier. The sender wasn't a name. It was an address I hadn't seen in a long time, but I recognized it immediately. Thomas used to use it for things he didn't want mixed with everything else. Backup accounts. Work stuff. The kind of thing he never explained because he didn't think he needed to. My thumb hovered over the screen for a second. Then I opened it. No text in the body, just a file attached. Audio. I pressed play. There was a short burst of static, then his voice. Clear, steady, not rushed. Not the voice of someone guessing. The voice of someone who already knew how this would go. If you're hearing this, he said, I didn't get the chance to finish what I started. I didn't breathe. Do not trust Daniel. I closed my eyes. Do not sign anything they give you, no matter how reasonable it sounds. The room felt smaller. They will try to move quickly. That's how you know you're close. There was a pause, just long enough to make sure I was still listening. And if this message reached you tonight? Another pause. You did the right thing not going home. The recording ended. No goodbye, no explanation, just silence. I didn't replay it right away. I sat there on the edge of that bed, phone still in my hand, staring at nothing. Thomas wasn't a dramatic man. He didn't leave messages like that for no reason. He barely left messages at all, which meant he had planned this. Not hoped, not guessed, planned. I stood up and walked over to the door, checking the lock again. Still locked. Of course it was. Then I turned off the light and sat back down. The room went dark except for the glow from my phone screen. I played the message again. Same tone, same words, same calm certainty. Do not trust Daniel. That part didn't feel confusing. It felt specific. Outside, a car passed slowly, tires humming against the road. I waited until the sound faded completely before I moved again. I didn't sleep. I tried once. Lay down, closed my eyes, pulled the blanket up like that would make the room feel different. It didn't. Every time I started to drift, that sentence came back. Don't go home tonight. By the time the sky started to lighten just enough to notice I was already sitting up, still dressed, still awake, still thinking about my house, and for the first time since Thomas died, I realized something I hadn't let myself consider before. If he had gone this far to warn me, then whatever was waiting at home wasn't a possibility. It was already there. I pulled into my driveway just after sunrise and didn't turn the engine off right away. Morning light makes everything look harmless. That's the trick. Same house, same porch, same siding we painted years ago. If you didn't know better, you'd think nothing had changed. I sat there, hands still on the wheel, waiting for something to move. Nothing did. So I got out. The air smelled normal. Cold, a little damp. No smoke, no noise. Just the kind of quiet that makes you notice your own footsteps. I walked up to the front door and stopped. The camera above the porch wasn't where it should have been. It was angled slightly to the left, now pointing more toward the driveway than the door. Not a lot. Just enough that it wouldn't catch someone coming straight up the steps. I stood there for a second looking at it. Daniel installed that camera for me. Said it would make things safer. I unlocked the door and stepped inside. Everything looked the same at first glance. Chairs where they should be, no drawers open, no broken glass, no obvious mess. That's what made it worse. I closed the door behind me and locked it out of habit. Then I turned and walked slowly into the kitchen. That's where it started to feel off. The window above the sink was shut tight. I usually leave it cracked, even in colder weather. Always have. Thomas used to complain about it. The air felt heavier than it should have. I stepped closer to the stove. That's when I smelled it. Faint. Easy to miss if you weren't looking for it. Gas. Not strong. Not enough to make you panic right away. Just enough to sit in the air and wait. I reached down and turned the knob slightly. It was already loose. Not fully open. Just set. Like someone had adjusted it carefully, knowing exactly how far to go without making it obvious. I didn't touch anything else. I just stood there looking around the kitchen, letting everything line up in my head. The closed window, the disabled camera, the loosened gas. I turned toward the hallway and checked the smoke detector mounted near the ceiling. I dragged a chair over, stepped up and opened it. No battery. I climbed down slowly. That wasn't a mistake. That was preparation. If I had come home last night, like I always do, I would have walked in, maybe turned on the stove without thinking, maybe flipped a light switch. And that would have been it. No break-in, no signs of struggle. Just a report that said an older woman living alone had an accident. I moved back to the front of the house and looked at the camera again through the window. Still angled wrong. Still quiet. I didn't call anyone. Not yet. Because there was one detail I couldn't ignore. Whoever did this knew I would be home last night. Not maybe, not possibly. They expected it. I went back inside, grabbed a cloth, and carefully turned the gas fully off. Then I opened the window. Cold air rushed in, cutting through that faint smell, like it didn't belong there. I stood there for a minute, letting the house breathe again. Then I walked over to the small shelf by the door where I keep the extra batteries. It was open. I don't leave it open. I checked inside. One battery missing, just one. I closed it and leaned back against the wall, arms crossed, looking out toward the driveway. The same place I had stopped the night before. Same angle. Same view. Only now I understood something I didn't then. This wasn't random. This wasn't someone guessing. This was set up for me. And if that was true, then the warning at the cafe wasn't the beginning of anything. It was already late. I left the window open longer than I needed to just to be sure the smell was gone. Cold air filled the kitchen, and for a second, it almost felt normal again. Almost. Then I closed it. Not all the way, just enough. I didn't want the house sealed tight anymore. I made coffee out of habit, even though I wasn't planning to drink it. Same mug, same spot on the counter. Routine has a way of pretending things are still under control. I hadn't even taken the first sip when I heard a car pull into the driveway. No call? No text? Of course not. I didn't rush to the door. I didn't hide anything either. I just stood there, hands resting on the counter, listening. The engine cut. A door opened. Then another. 2 sets of footsteps. Daniel and Rachel, right on time. I walked to the front door and opened it before they could knock. Daniel looked surprised. Just for a second. "Hey," he said. "We were just in the area." "No, you weren't." Rachel gave a small smile. The kind that doesn't reach her eyes. "We thought we'd check in," she said. "Make sure you're okay." I stepped aside to let them in. "Of course," I said. They walked in like they belonged there. Rachel's eyes moved, first quick scanning, like she was checking for something. Daniel followed slower, but he looked at the camera outside before he stepped in. "Noticed it." "Good." We moved into the kitchen. I didn't offer coffee. They didn't ask. Rachel leaned lightly against the counter, crossing her arms. "You didn't answer your phone last night," she said. "I didn't hear it," I replied. Daniel nodded, like that made sense. "Sleep okay?" he asked. "I was out," I said. That part wasn't even a lie. Rachel glanced toward the stove. Just a quick look, but it was there. Then back to me. "You know," she said, "we've been talking about what's best moving forward." There it was again. Not what you want, not what you need, what's best. For who I asked. She smiled again. Same smile. "For you," she said. Obviously. Daniel shifted his weight hands in his pockets. It's just, this place is a lot, he said. You don't need to deal with all of it alone. I haven't been alone that long, I said. Rachel stepped in before he could answer. Grief affects people differently, she said. Sometimes it shows up in ways you don't even notice. That wasn't concern. That was positioning. I leaned back slightly against the counter watching her. What are you suggesting? I asked. She didn't hesitate. We think it might be time to put some protections in place, she said. Just temporarily, until things stabilize. Protections, I repeated. Daniel finally looked at me. Just paperwork, he said. Nothing serious. I held his gaze a second longer than he expected. Guardianship isn't nothing, I said. The words sat there for a second. Rachel didn't react. Not really. It's a safeguard, she said calmly. It ensures decisions are made in your best interest. My decisions, I said, are already in my best interest. She tilted her head slightly. That's not always how it works, she replied. There it was, not a suggestion. A direction. I reached for my coffee and took a sip this time. It was still too hot. Interesting timing, I said. Daniel frowned. What do you mean? I set the mug down carefully. You show up unannounced, I said. Talk about control, talk about paperwork. Rachel's eyes narrowed just a fraction. We're trying to help you, she said. I nodded. I'm sure you are. Silence stretched for a second. Then Rachel glanced toward the hallway, toward the smoke detector. Everything okay in here? She asked casually. I followed her gaze. Why wouldn't it be? I said. She shrugged lightly. Just making sure. Daniel looked between us like he was trying to catch up to something he wasn't fully part of anymore. I pushed off the counter. Well, I said I appreciate the visit, not an invitation to stay. Rachel straightened. We'll come back later, she said. Of course you will. Daniel hesitated, like he wanted to say something else, then didn't. They walked out the same way they came in. Calm. Controlled. Like nothing had happened. I closed the door behind them and locked it. Then I stood there, hand still on the lock, staring at it. They weren't checking on me. They were checking the house, and whatever timeline they were working on, it had already started. I drove into town just before noon and parked 2 spaces farther than usual. Old habits. You don't notice them until you start changing them. The bank hadn't changed in years. Same brick front, same slow automatic doors, same quiet that makes people lower their voices even when they don't need to. I stepped inside and walked straight to the counter. I need access to a safe deposit box, I said. Whitaker. The teller checked the name, then looked up at me. Joint access, she asked. Primary holder is deceased, I said. I have authorization. She nodded, not asking anything else. People who work in banks learn quickly what not to ask. A few minutes later, I was sitting in a small back room with a metal box in front of me. No ceremony, just a keyhole and a sliding drawer. I used the key from the envelope. It turned smoothly. That didn't surprise me. Thomas was careful like that. Inside there wasn't much. No stacks of cash, no dramatic folders labeled evidence. Just a few things placed in a way that looked almost ordinary, which made it worse. A thin stack of printed bank statements, a small envelope of photographs, a folded map, and one letter. I started with the statements. Cash withdrawals, small amounts, spread out over months, always just under reporting thresholds, always from different locations. That wasn't how Thomas handled money. He liked records, clean ones. This was the opposite. I set those aside and picked up the photos. Night shots, grainy but clear enough. The edge of our property, the north side. The part he used to tell me not to walk through after dark. Tire tracks that didn't belong to us, equipment I didn't recognize. Lights where there shouldn't be any. I felt my jaw tighten. Then I opened the map. It was an old utility layout, faded lines, handwritten notes in the margins, a section circled in red. I recognized the area immediately. Northfield, beyond the fence line. There was a note beside it. Access below, not on record. I stared at that for a second longer than I should have. Then I picked up the letter. It was written in Thomas's handwriting. Neat, direct, no wasted space. Margaret, if you're reading this, I didn't get the chance to handle it the right way. That sounded like him. No drama, just facts. Daniel found it first. The tunnel. Old gas line access. It was never properly closed off. At first, he said he was just using it for storage. Temporary. Business problems. Cash flow. I wanted to believe him. I stopped reading for a second. Of course you did. I kept going. It wasn't temporary. He got pulled into something bigger. Interstate movement. Things that don't show up on paperwork. Rachel helped make it look clean. I told him to walk away. He said he would. He didn't. The words didn't get sharper. They didn't get emotional. They just got clearer. I started documenting everything. Photos, dates, transactions. I contacted someone outside the county. Quietly. If anything happens to me, it won't be an accident. I exhaled slowly. I knew how his accident had been described. Wet road, loss of control, no other vehicle involved. That's what the report said. I went back to the letter. If they push you to sell it, means they're running out of time. Do not sign anything. Do not stay where they expect you to be. I read that line twice. Then once more. Do not stay where they expect you to be. I folded the letter carefully and set it back in the box. For a moment, I just sat there, hands resting on the table, looking at nothing. Then something small came back to me. Daniel at 10 years old running across that same north field. Thomas showing him how to fix a fence post. Same place, same land, different use. I gathered everything back into the box except the letter. That stayed in my hand. When I slid the drawer closed, it felt lighter than it should have. Not because there was less inside, because there were fewer questions. On the way out, I didn't look at anyone. I stepped back into the daylight, the noise of the street, the normal rhythm of people going about their day, and for the first time since this started, I wasn't trying to figure out what was happening. I already knew. The only question left was how far it had gone. I didn't go straight home after leaving the bank. Instead, I sat in my car across the street for a few minutes, watching people walk in and out like nothing in the world had changed. That's the strange part about this kind of thing. Everything can fall apart for you and the rest of the world just keeps going. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. I let it ring once, twice. Then I answered. Margaret Whitaker, a man's voice said. Yes. A short pause. My name is Aaron Blake, he said. I worked with your husband. I didn't say anything right away. He told me, Aaron continued, if certain accounts were accessed, I should reach out. Not in person, not at first. That made sense. Thomas never liked unnecessary risk. What kind of work, I asked. Private investigation, he said. Before that, state-level cases. I don't do official work anymore. Of course you don't. I glanced out the windshield. Same street, same people, different reality. You've seen the contents, he asked. Yes. Another pause. Not awkward, measured. Then you already know this isn't local, he said. Your son didn't build this alone. I figured that much. Interstate movement changes things, he added. Jurisdiction, priority, attention. Translation bigger than we thought. I leaned back in my seat. What are you missing? I asked. He didn't hesitate. Confirmation, he said. Direct or implied, something they can't explain away. I have documents. You have context, he corrected. That helps. It doesn't close the case. That was honest. Annoying, but honest. So what does close it, I asked. People talk, he said. Usually when they think they're safe, or when they think they've already won. I almost smiled at that. That sounds familiar. It should, he said. Your husband tried to handle this quietly. He got further than most people would. I looked down at the letter, still sitting in the passenger seat. He thought he had time, Aaron added. He didn't, I said. No, he agreed. A car passed behind me, slow enough to make me check the mirror. Just someone looking for parking. Still, I noticed it. You're being watched, Aaron said, like he could see what I was thinking. I already know. Good, he said. Then don't react to it. I haven't. Keep it that way. Silence settled for a second. Not empty. Just full. What do they want right now? He asked. Control, I said. Paperwork, guardianship, selling the property. That lines up, he replied. If they're pushing, it means something upstream is pushing them. Deadlines, I said. Yes. I tapped my fingers lightly on the steering wheel. So they need me to sign, I said. They need you compliant, he corrected. Signing is just the clean version. And the alternative? He didn't answer right away. Then calmly, you already saw the alternative. Gas. Silence. Procedure. I exhaled slowly. So we give them what they want, I said. Another pause. Careful, Aaron said. Not really, I replied. We let them think they're getting it. That got his attention. You're going to set the conversation, he said. I'm going to finish it, I said. A beat. That could work, he admitted. If you don't push too hard, I won't. Get them talking, he said. Not defending, not explaining, talking. I know the difference. I believe you do. I glanced at the clock on the dashboard. Early afternoon, plenty of time. Do you want to be there? I asked. No, he said immediately. Not yet. You don't bring in a witness before you have something worth hearing. Fair enough. What happens after? I asked. You won't have to wonder, he said. That wasn't comforting, but it was clear. All right, I said. Margaret, he added before I could hang up. Yes. Your husband trusted you to handle this part. I looked at the empty passenger seat. I can see why he said. The line went quiet. I ended the call and sat there for a moment staring at nothing. Then I picked up my phone again, scrolled to Daniel's name. My thumb hovered for just a second. Then I pressed call. When he answered, I didn't hesitate. I've been thinking, I said. A pause on the other end. About what he asked. About the property, I said. Another pause. Longer this time. I'm ready to talk about selling. Silence. Then tonight, he asked. Of course. Tonight works, I said. I set my phone down and left it on the kitchen table screen facing up. Not hidden, not obvious either. Just there. By the time Daniel and Rachel pulled into the driveway, the house looked exactly the way it always did. Lights on, kitchen clean, nothing out of place. That was the point. I didn't meet them at the door this time. I let them knock once before I opened it. Rachel stepped in first. She didn't look around as much as she did earlier. Less curiosity now, more focus. Daniel followed behind her, quieter than usual. You said you wanted to talk, he said. I do, I replied, stepping aside. We went straight to the kitchen, same positions as before. Rachel near the counter, Daniel closer to the table. Me between them without making it obvious. No coffee this time. No small talk either. I pulled out a chair and sat down. They stayed standing. Interesting. I've been thinking about what you said I began. Rachel nodded slightly, like she expected that. It makes sense, I added. The taxes, the maintenance, it's a lot. Daniel relaxed just a little. Shoulders dropped. Not much, but enough. I'm glad you see that, he said. I do, I said, which is why I want to understand something first. Rachel's expression didn't change. What exactly happens if I don't sign? I asked. There was a pause. Short. Controlled. Daniel looked at Rachel. Of course he did. She stepped in. We're not trying to force anything, she said. We're trying to avoid complications. Like what I asked. She tilted her head slightly. Legal delays, she said. Financial exposure, liability, all clean words, all vague. I nodded. And if I decide to keep the property, I asked. Daniel shifted his weight again. That's your choice, he said. But he didn't sound convinced. Rachel didn't even look at him. That would create problems, she said. What kind of problems? I asked. This time the pause was longer. Not uncertainty, calculation. Rachel exhaled lightly, like she was tired of explaining something obvious. The kind that get expensive, she said. The kind that attract attention. There it was. I leaned back slightly in my chair. Attention from who I asked. Daniel's eyes flicked toward the front window. Just for a second, then back to me. No one you need to worry about, he said quickly. Too quickly. Rachel didn't correct him. She didn't need to. Your father didn't worry either, she said. The room went quiet. I didn't move. Until he did, she added. Daniel's jaw tightened. Rachel, he said under his breath. But it was too late. She kept going. He made things harder than they needed to be, she said. We tried to keep it simple. Simple! That was one word for it. You call this simple, I asked. She looked at me directly now. For everyone involved, she said. Daniel didn't speak. He just stood there, staring at the table like he was trying to find something on it that wasn't there. I let the silence stretch. Didn't rush it. Didn't fill it. People talk more when you don't help them. So if I sign, I said, finally, everything goes away. Rachel nodded. Yes. And if I don't? This time Daniel answered. It gets complicated, he said. I held his gaze. How complicated? He opened his mouth, then closed it again. Rachel stepped in just slightly. More than you'd want to deal with, she said. That was the closest they were willing to get. Not a confession, but not denial either. Enough. I nodded slowly like I was considering it. Then I stood up. All right, I said. Both of them looked at me. That's all I needed to understand. Rachel studied my face, trying to read something she couldn't quite place. Daniel looked relieved. That part didn't surprise me. I walked over to the counter, picked up the envelope, and set it on the table between us. Not opening it, not explaining it, just placing it there. Neither of them touched it. Good. I looked at both of them, one at a time. Then I gave a small nod. I'll let you know my decision, I said. I watched their car leave the driveway without stepping outside. No shouting, no last words. Just headlights fading down the same road I had refused to turn into the night before. The house was quiet again, but it didn't feel empty. It felt settled. Over the next few weeks, everything moved the way things usually do in real life, slow, procedural, and very quiet. No dramatic arrests, no scenes on the front lawn, just paperwork interviews and people who suddenly started choosing their words more carefully. I didn't have to chase anything. Once the right conversation existed, the rest followed. Daniel was charged, not with one thing, but a list of things that made it clear this wasn't a small mistake that got out of hand. Rachel faced more. That part didn't surprise me. I didn't go to the first hearing. I wasn't interested in watching it play out in a room full of strangers. Instead, I walked the property. Same path, same trees, same stretch of land Thomas used to check every morning. For a long time, I had thought this place was just land, something to maintain, something to protect. I was wrong. It wasn't the land that needed protection. It was the truth under it, and the truth about who people become when they think they won't be questioned. I stopped near the north side where the ground dips slightly before the tree line. I used to avoid that area because Thomas told me to. Now I understood why. Some things aren't dangerous because they're hidden. They're dangerous because someone wants them to stay that way. At 62, I learned something I should have figured out a long time ago. Danger doesn't always show up loud. It doesn't break your door down or announce itself. Sometimes it sits across the table from you, explains things calmly, and calls it help. Sometimes it sounds like concern. Sometimes it looks like family. And if there's one thing worth taking from this, it's this: pay attention to small changes. The way someone answers instead of someone else. The way a question gets redirected. The way things start to feel slightly off even when everything looks normal. That feeling is usually right. You just don't always want it to be. As for me, I still go to that cafe on Thursdays. Same table, same coffee, different awareness. Because sometimes survival doesn't come from strength. It comes from one decision you almost didn't make. If you're into family revenge stories and real family drama that feels a little too close to home, this is exactly the kind of story we tell here. Subscribe if you want more stories like this. Not the loud ones, the real ones.